Here is your latest African news. Africa-wide, Scuffles mar Pan-African Parliament election. There was mayhem at a meeting of the African Union's Parliament Monday as lawmakers scuffled over a ballot box and a man appeared to aim a head-high kick at a female colleague amid shouts that there were people armed with guns in the room. Numerous scuffles broke out on the floor of the meeting in Midrand, South Africa, as a disagreement over the process to elect a new president for the African Union's legislative body boiled over. The scenes were broadcast on South Africa's national broadcaster, the SABC. The Pan-African Parliament election was suspended while leaders worked out a way forward. They will once again try the process today. Somaliland, democratic parliamentary and council elections. Polling stations have opened in the self-proclaimed Republic of Somaliland as voters go to the polls to elect their parliamentary and local representatives. Long queues were reported in the early hours of Monday in the capital Hargeisa. The president of Somaliland, Muse Bihi Abdi, stated that the election should be conducted in a peaceful manner. Rights activists say 13 female candidates are participating in the parliamentary elections alone in a broader effort to increase women representation. There is just one female lawmaker in the current standing parliament. Sudan. $23.6 million global initiative to support Sudan's national parks, Ecotourism. Key national parks in Sudan are to receive increased protection and support for improved management, local communities, and ecotourism. The $23.6 million initiative is to be financed by the Global Environmental Facility and the remainder from the United Nations, national contributors, and partners. Sudan's rich natural environment is impacted by the lack of strong protected areas, both at a policy level and operationally, and limited livelihood options for those living nearby. Project initiatives will enhance key sites, addressing environmental degradation and creating economic opportunities. Namibia. Why Germany's Namibia genocide apology may not be enough. Germany's long-awaited apology for last century's genocide in Namibia has opened fresh questions about how Europe confronts its colonial past in Africa. Last week, at the completion of negotiations between Namibia, German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas made the announcement that the slaughter his country carried out in its former colony was a genocide. There was also the promise of development aid worth more than $1.34 billion in terms of fully acknowledging its colonial past in Namibia. Germany has always been reluctant to do so. This is despite providing development support to successive administrations since Namibia's independence in 1990. A half-hearted apology delivered by a German development minister in 2004 on the 100th anniversary of the start of the genocide was roundly criticized. Germany made it clear that it is willing to atone for its colonial crimes without sparing or glossing them over. But the country also needs to come to terms with the origins of a racialized view of the world, placing Western authorities at the top and Africans, unfortunately, at the bottom. Diaspora. Defending Rio's Little Africa. On May 25th, Rio de Janeiro's councilwoman Thais Ferreira, an Afro-Brazilian female political activist, launched a project which intends to show and promote the importance of a historical Afro-Brazilian site located in Rio's downtown region. The geographical site, known as Little Africa, Pequena Africa, in Portuguese, was the gateway door where most Africans were received to work as slaves in Brazil. Little Africa was also a place where freed black people established themselves to create a huge black settlement after the ending of transatlantic slave trade in 1850. However, despite its importance to Brazil's history, Little Africa has been abandoned for decades. According to Ferreira, The reason might be the attempt of wiping out the Afro-Brazilian heritage in the city. Even the international recognition, Rio's Little Africa still doesn't have the infrastructure to receive visitors and tourists. Residents are lobbying to change that by demanding more investment from the city hall. Africa-wide, amid France's Africa reset, old ties underscore challenge of breaking with the past. France's former African colonies are celebrating 60 years of independence, but France's influence remains all-pervasive, and critics say it's time that Africa cuts the umbilical cord and put an end to Francafrique. Beginning in the 1980s, many French presidential candidates have been announcing plans to put an end to Francafrique. But the promise of a new beginning between France and the Francophone states has turned into a mere ritual, unfortunately. According to political analysts, France comes out with statements and they want to change it, but after a couple of years, they realize that the business interests and exploitative nature of the behavior is still quite strong. And there's no clear reason on France's side to let go of Africa. Ivory Coast. Laurent Gbagbo plans to return home on June 17th. Former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo plans to return home on June 17 following his acquittal on charges of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court, the ICC. A party official said on Monday. The ICC confirmed in March that Gbagbo and his sidekick, Charles Blegude, were in the clear over the devastating post-electoral violence that rocked the West African nation in 2010 and 2011. Despite spending years behind bars in the Dutch city and waiting in Brussels for the decision of a 2019 appeal, the former president retains considerable support at home. Gbagbo's homecoming might be hampered further by a pending 20-year sentence handed down in absentia by an Ivorian court in November of 2019 for misappropriating funds from the regional central bank. Thank you so much for watching. Visit our YouTube channel, Tunacheki, to watch our weekly news reports and our website at tunacheki.tv for all the latest African news updates. You can directly support this news series by becoming our YouTube member or becoming a patron. And remember, Africa is watching. And please feel free to leave your suggestions, news tips, or topics about Africa that you'd like us to explore.